It's another beautiful Sunday afternoon. This is Rubbin Minds. Welcome. My name is Ebuka Obiuchende. Thanks a lot for joining us as always. Yesterday was Workers' Day, or Labor Day, like some other countries like to call it, and it's going to be a public holiday across the country tomorrow, according to the release from the presidency. To sort of celebrate. On the one hand, people say we have too many public holidays and we need more man hours in the workplace. On the other hand, I guess a lot is happening in the country, a little too much, mostly not very pleasant. So every second that people can sort of take a break from all of that, I believe is welcome. We're going to be talking about jobs and unemployment and all of that. You know, not too long ago, the Nigerian National Bureau of Statistics released data showing that 33% of Nigerians were unemployed. It sort of sent shivers down a lot of people's spines. The numbers are even crazier when you look at just young people and then you add unemployability or underemployment, I beg your pardon, and it just makes everyone very worried. And we're going to be talking about that today. And I have here with me Sheila Ojay, who's the head of communications for Rubbin Minds. Thanks for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
Definitely very fit for this conversation. And we are still in the middle of a pandemic. I mean,
Yes.
Countries like India and Brazil are scaring us and wondering what's going to happen. God forbid, if all of those strains we hear come here. But people are wondering that this might even be a worse pandemic in the long run, talking about unemployment, especially for Nigeria. I mean, the numbers were looking bad already. The lockdowns and all of that have made things even worse. And there doesn't seem to be a clear path, you know, to recovery for a lot of people. What sort of trends are you seeing, you know, with regards to young people? Because there's this constant talk about, oh, why do you keep seeking jobs? Why not just go start up something? Do you find that a lot of people are finding work? And what sort of jobs are available? Because I know I'm talking a lot, but people also believe that, you know, there's jobs and not enough people to fit in those spaces. What exactly is happening there?
So what we have really in Nigeria is it's two things. So on one hand, we have what we call a skills gap, right? So there is this demand of skills, and then we don't have enough people to actually do those things, right? So that's on one hand. On the other hand, we see a lot of growth in the tech industry, as everybody knows. I mean, obviously, with the likes of Paystack and Flutterwave, there's so much going in the tech industry. And what we've seen in the last year, obviously, as we're going into this digital world, this digital future, as we like to call it, more jobs are coming up, and a lot of young people are getting jobs in the tech sector.
Yeah, but tech is just one space.
Yes.
And not a lot of people are even equipped, like we hear, especially with the way our Nigerian universities are sort of set up for IT, you know, and computer science and all of that. Is that the only space that you see some sort of availability for growth?
Funny enough,
looking at the landscape.
No, I mean, the traditional finance sector as well is also growing. And the creative sector, interestingly, has grown a lot in the last year. A lot of people are turning to different sorts of content creation and just sort of I wouldn't say keeping people entertained, but just this increase of demand in the creative sector. Now, we know that the creative sector is also a sector that hasn't been, I wouldn't say, formalized. So even though a lot of people are actually getting jobs in that sector, it's not actually recognized as a formal sector. So that is a lot that we're seeing. We recently just published a creative sector report, and that's one of the trends that we're seeing, especially in photography and filmmaking. I mean, filmmaking has always been there, but we've just seen that in the last year, it's actually grown tremendously.
So government likes to talk a lot about agriculture and farming and how we need to go back to the rural areas and farm. And most people believe that, is that really sustainable? A lot of the rest of the world seems to be moving to mechanized farming, which is even making people move away from farming even more, because you need fewer people to do those things. How likely is that to be a growth space for jobs for Nigerians, with regards to what I've just explained, and also with the mindset of people now? There's a huge sort of drive to the urban areas for young people. People want to live in cities. Is that something that should be pursued, you think?
Well, to be honest, agriculture is a sector that we can't underestimate. Reason because we must eat.
Yes.
Right? For as long as we can, for as long as there's food in demand, it means that there's also growth. There's also opportunity for growth in agriculture. However, we need to stop thinking in the whole traditional way of agriculture and start looking more into the mechanized farming. And then when you also look at Nigeria, there's the southern part of Nigeria and then there's the northern part of Nigeria, right? A lot of times when you're in the south, we just have these assumptions that everywhere in Nigeria is the same. But in the north, you find that there's actually a lot of opportunities for growth. One, there is the population. There's also the land. There's also the demand as well for the labor in the north for just a traditional form of agriculture. However, just like I keep going back to tech, but however, mentioning tech, we find that we need to start looking at how we can make it better and how we can get more young people. To be honest, we all want to be in the urban areas. We all want to be in Lagos. But there's so much opportunities outside Lagos as well that young people need to explore, besides just being in urban areas.
I'm going to come back to you because I want to explore that demand and supply conversation, both from those seeking jobs and those employing. But I'm joined now by Finn Toyo, who's the founder of Empower You Career Consulting, who's joining us via Skype. Finn, if you can hear me, like I said, the numbers are staggering. We're hearing something around 22 million Nigerians unemployed, just unemployed. If you look at the underemployment numbers, it goes up to about 30, 40, 50 million people. That is very scary for a lot of people. Is our focus on education? I know that's a very tricky conversation for a lot of people, versus skill. Is that a conversation we should start having now, and how do we go about that? Because some people believe that's probably the quickest way to start shifting, these numbers away from where we are now.
Thanks, Ebuka. Fantastic question. I think it's actually twofold. First of all, we need to look at skills like you rightly mentioned, but also an understanding of how to actually step into the workplace. So I'll be honest and use myself as an example. I did my primary and secondary school here in Nigeria, and then I went to England for tertiary education. And something that's very vital when you're in university in England is that from day one, they're prepping you on how to get a job, how to build a CV, cover letter, how to network with people, and you're taught a lot of soft skills. But I find that that's missing in a lot of the institutions we have in Nigeria. So that's one way we need to look at it, is that we need to start preparing our graduates for a future after school, even while they're in university. And then secondly, let's talk about soft skills. Sometimes you go into the workplace and you find that fresh grads don't even know how to communicate. They don't know how to send emails. They don't know how to present. But if you look at higher institutions in the other worlds or in the other markets, you find that even students in secondary school are already presenting. So yes, there's education, but we need to be able to equip these young students and graduates with these skills, but also employability skills on how to get a job after school.
I mean, you founded Empower You, and if going by the name, it sounds like you're very interested in sort of, equipping people. And now we're talking about, maybe sort of rejigging the educational system here to be more skills-based and empowering people. But we have a huge number of people who are out of school now, who have completely lost out of that opportunity, I want to believe. What do we do with those people now who are out of university, who are out of work? I mean, there was a tragic story that unfolded on social media a couple of days ago about someone who tweeted about looking for work. We're hearing stories now about her not being alive anymore, So it's very hard for people. How do we start to, fix that with those who are out now but don't seem to be equipped, but also need to work?
Fantastic question. There are a couple of things that we can do. One thing that I really admire is what Rubbin Minds already does, which is the soft skills training. And at Empower You as well, we're also teaching graduates and young professionals how to get jobs. That's one thing. Then the other thing is, how can we get these graduates and young professionals busy? So in the Western world, there are a lot of schemes, like the Duke of Edinburgh's scheme and so on. So are there opportunities for internships? Are there opportunities for apprenticeships that may be in the skilled workforce? So that's some of the things that we can start to create. I know that a couple of years ago, Lagos State government actually came up with this scheme, Ready, Set to Work, where they were helping, fresh grads and final year students with employability skills. They were teaching them about presentation, communication. So we need to roll out more of these things. And I'll be honest with you, Ebuka, there are some opportunities for these fresh grads, but as Sheila Oje already mentioned, sometimes is that skills gap and that skills mismatch. So I think that once people come out of university, we then, because they haven't had that training yet, we then as, organizations like Jobberman and Empower You and even the government need to come together to start to help these students, training them and possibly placing them in institutions. There are a lot of institutions that are looking for fresh grads, interns, but a lot of the time they can't even find those people because when they put out vacancies and thousands of people apply, sometimes they're not able to get the right candidates. So that is something that we can do is how can we train these young professionals and then place them in rightful organizations where they can start to intern, start to become graduate management trainees. I think that's one thing. The other thing is possibly job creation. There are a lot of talented young people, as we mentioned, in the creative space. Some people are great at DJing, makeup, all of these creative, fantastic skills. We shouldn't undermine such professions. People make a fantastic living out of things like that. So not everyone is cut out for a 9-to-5. Some other people are blessed with other talents that, lie out of the 9-to-5. And we should encourage them to be able to pursue such passions. And then for some other people, maybe other things like, tailoring, using their skills. So I think those are some of the things we can do.
Just to put you a bit on the spot there, because you talked about internships, and acquiring skills. And the question of the NYSC always comes up, because people believe that, okay, that's supposed to be sort of preparatory. You acquire, or at least you sort of show what you can do, prove yourself at work, which is why some offices end up retaining people, after their 1 year of service. Do you think it's doing its job with regards to that?
So, putting me on the spot. So I'll say something, and it might be a very unpopular opinion. I think that every experience is what you make of it. So during my NYSC, I was an intern. And in fact, yesterday we posted something on social media about interns running errands and making tea. And I think in that year, I really spent that time learning about the business and contributing my quota. I was retained, and I went on to become a manager and so on. And I know a lot of other people like that. Right. But I also know people that step into the situations and just, slide into the background and they're making tea, running errands. And so at the end of the year, the business is like, hey, what value am I getting from this person beyond, tea making, which I can just get another intern to do. So I think that as young professionals, even when you're serving, you don't look at your service year as, oh, yeah, I'm just here, 1 year. Look at it that this is the beginning of my career. I need to put in 150%, right, to deliver and to add value. So that's one thing that I'll say. I'll say the onus is on us as young professionals to be able to make the impact and show the organizations what we can do and not just slide into the background. That's something we need to proactively take charge. And then for the rest of the other people, I know a lot of people don't get the opportunities, but I think when I served about 10 years ago, there were opportunities for skills acquisition. During my time, I learned how to sew. So there are some of those opportunities, skills acquisition, learning how to make small chops, cocktails, and so on and so forth. So a lot of people did that and actually have become, really big entrepreneurs. I even know one of them on Instagram that has over 300,000 followers, and we served together and she learned how to do catering. And today she's a fantastic food blogger. So I think the onus is on us to see how we can harness those opportunities best.
All right, I'll come back to you, Fintoyo, but let me ask you the same question. Do you agree that the NYS is serving its purpose, or does it need to be rejigged in a way where, because people, yes, we hear great stories like this of people serving and getting retained and acquiring skills and all of that, but we know that a multitude of people who get to serve are misplaced with regards to what they studied or what their skills are and where they are placed or what jobs they do, which is why it ends up being a waste for a lot of people, don't you think?
Yeah, I mean, so I look at it this way. So I actually agree with Finye, what she's saying. It's really what you make the most of it, right? On the other hand, we should also say that, NYSC should partner, because they can't do everything on their own, if we're going to be very honest. So it would be good to partner with organizations that can actually help sort of provide the additional employability skills or skills that they're looking for. But I would say for coppers, though, it's very important that while you're serving, as much as possible, get the necessary skills, the relevant skills that are in demand. Reason because you're going to finish from school, say for instance, like computer science keeps coming up, right? Say for instance, you get a degree in computer science. By the time you graduate and you have to go get a job, you will see that there's demands for, say, cloud engineering. You see there's demands for data analytics and things like that. You need to be able to use that 1 year to sort of like upskill yourself, learn the necessary skills so that by the time you're done with NYSC, you know that you have the necessary skills that will get you into the door.
Yeah. Okay, I was talking about demand and supply, and
Yes.
that was the question I wanted to know. What's the trend you
Right.
see from the organizations and what they require most with regards to employing people, and what's the trend you see from those seeking jobs? What are they most skilled in? What are they most sort of degreed in, if that's a word? So what are the trends on both sides, and do they match in any way?
No, I would say for the employers, right? So we did a research in sometime 2020, early 2020 or late 2019 going into 2020. And what we found that a lot of employers were looking for is more soft skills, which is very interesting. So it's like, yeah, we know that they have the degrees. We want the technical skills, but we also want the soft skills. So we want them to know how to communicate effectively. We want them to know how to, be creative, be innovative. We want them to know the basic, etiquette and things like that. So what they find is that a lot of times when they hire or when they're looking for employees, they can't find the right talent to fit into their jobs. That's on one front.
Yeah.
And so now there's all this emphasis on soft skills, which is one of the reasons why the Rubbin partnered with the MasterCard Foundation. And now we have the Rubbin soft skills, right? And so what we do with the soft skills is just to train young people aged 18 to 35 to have the necessary skills that are needed for the workplace. That's on one side. I don't really have the stats for like the
trends
the
with
job
those
seeker,
seeking
yes,
jobs,
for the job seeker side, because the reason I say that is because we have a large supply of, think about it, we're over 200 million Nigerians and
churning out graduates.
Exactly,
on a
and
monthly
research
basis.
says that we have about over 100 million young people. So we have people graduating, about 600,000 new graduates every year, studying all sorts. And then when they come out of school, it's that thing of they can't find jobs to fit exactly what they studied.
Yeah.
And they find themselves having to, switch professions or gain the skills that can actually get them the jobs that they need.
Yeah, well, I've been joined now, I believe, by Hikma Jamiu, who's a fashion entrepreneur. And I believe you started your business based on the fact that I guess you had tried to get work and it didn't work out. Tell us a bit about your story and how you got onto being an entrepreneur of yourself. Okay, I guess Hikma's dropped off now. Okay, we'll reconnect with her when we can. I want to talk Gen Z and millennials now, because those are the core. When you talk about young people looking for work, I think it's based in that space. Has there been a serious shift you've seen with those two demographics, with regards to skills, with regards to approach even to work, and what sort of trends are you seeing? Because social media can be funny sometimes.
Yes.
Once in a while, you see this battle between both generations, saying, all of that. But what do you see with regards to seeking jobs and employment, and what sort of feedback do you get from corporates?
So it's interesting. So with the millennials are slowly becoming the employers of labor,
especially
right?
in the tech space.
Especially in the tech space, right? So millennials are slowly becoming the employers of labor. So you find that because they are now employers, what they are asking for is very different from what the previous generations were looking for. So you find that employers now who are in the millennial age range or the millennial generation want to see more of your skills than your degrees, right? On the Gen Z front, we see a lot of Gen Zers, if that's the right term.
We're all learning as we go.
I know, right? If that's the right term. We see that a lot of them are gaining the necessary skills, right? But one thing that I love about Gen Z is that you're very ambitious, you're very driven. At the same time, they're impatient. So you find that most Gen Zs they're getting the necessary skill. And as they're getting the skill, they also think, I can do this myself.
Yeah.
I don't need to work for anybody. I want to be my own boss. And most of them aren't putting in the time to be able to gain that experience. Experience is most times is being undermined. We underestimate what experience means. And in a way, I don't blame them, because previous generations have abused the term. I feel like they've abused the term experience, right? So we think just because I'm old doesn't mean I have the experience. experience,
Sure.
right? I could be in a position for 10 years and still don't know anything, right? But having a proven track record of, say, leadership qualities and having the right skills and also the right, certifications if needed shows that you have put in your work. Yeah. So, I would just say that now we're slowly shifting, and that was one of the questions that you were asking, Fee. We're slowly shifting from just, degrees into, in addition to degrees, what skills can you bring to the table?
We're going to take a quick break now. When we come back, we'll conclude our conversation and hopefully end on a happy note. I'll see you after this. All right, welcome back. We're going to conclude our conversation now on the unemployment pandemic. Sheila Oche is still here with us. And I just want to wrap up, looking into the future. A lot of people say the trend is going to get even worse with the numbers because there's literally no clear-cut sort of policy or path that government has set out, to get us out of what is a complete mess now, which is why we're seeing insecurity rise across the country and all of that. What are you seeing in the next year plus? We're not sure if we're coming out of the pandemic because it looks like we're coming out and things are happening, so we don't even know what the future holds with regards to that. But if we do come out of the pandemic or the lockdowns and all of that, does that spur things, you think? What do you see happening going forward?
I believe that we're resilient people. And what we find is that since the pandemic started, people have started looking at alternative sources of employment, right? We also find that, again, we're moving into this digital space. And so everyone is, nowadays there's the virtual meetings, working remotely. I work remotely most times. So with all of that, we find that those trends are changing. And with that, I actually do see an improvement because the more companies can embrace this new culture, the more we can be able to create jobs. Why? Because your cost of running a company is lower because, for instance, you don't need to have an office space. There are a few companies at the moment that have literally closed shop and they're fully remote, right? Now, on the other hand, there's an infrastructural problem. And so as much as it sounds nice to go fully remote, we also realize that we don't have 24 hours light. We're still struggling with network every once in a while, right? So it would be, I feel like, on a short, almost like a low-hanging fruit, it would be nice for the government to sort of look into this infrastructure and see what are the immediate things that we can work on. If we can't get 24 hours light, what can we do about improving the digital space and the digital atmosphere in Nigeria as a nation? All
right, is Fien Toyo still with us? So we can wrap up with her. If you can hear me, Fien. I feel like with people who are looking for work have gotten a lot of flack today based on the fact that, we are not equipped, skills, they should acquire more skills. But what about government, What is government doing? What should government be doing? Because like she said, a lot of the onus is on them. We're talking about overtaxing sometimes with regards to multiple taxation from federal government, state governments, even within the local governments. Businesses start and you hear that they get 12, 13, 14 letters every year from different agencies and all of that. Is government doing enough? What do you think government should be doing to get us out of this mess?
Yeah, fantastic question, Ibuka. The truth is that, there's a lot to be done. When you look at other countries and how they were able to deal with the pandemic, I have a lot of colleagues, friends in England, and during the pandemic, they got goodie baskets delivered to their homes. There's a lot of support for their businesses, grants, loans, etc. So there is a lot, like a total overhaul that we expect from the government in terms of supporting small businesses and even the big businesses as well, because one thing that you find is that a lot of multinationals, even in Nigeria, a lot of them are pulling out now because they say that the environment is just too VUCA for them. It's just super volatile, not friendly, very hostile. So there's a lot that the government can do in terms of supporting businesses, but also even in terms of supporting these fresh grads and professionals. In England and in other countries overseas, I always refer back to those. They have support for unemployed. Once you come out of school, if you're unemployed for a certain number of months or years, they have job centers where you can go, funded by the government to support you to get jobs, right? Skills acquisition programs, and so on and so forth. So I just feel that there is just a lot that needs to be done. We hear about some of these programs, SME programs, but most of them are funded by private organizations, banks, and so on. I'm not really seeing that much coming from the government. And I think that it's something that we should expect. I'm sure you've been seeing all the broadcasts about surging rate of insecurity, theft. It's because the people are actually hungry. If they had the food, this would not be happening. So yes, we're calling on the government and believing that, in the near future, some of these programs can be rolled out to support small businesses and the unemployed.
Well, thank you very much, Fintoya, and thank you very much, Sheila J, for your contributions today. Hopefully, when next we have you on the show, we'll be talking about, better numbers, better statistics, and better figures for the Nigerian youth. Thanks a lot for joining us. All right. So we're going to be switching the conversation now. We have a special guest in the house who has defied the odds, speaking of unemployment and looking for jobs, by taking control of his narrative and becoming slowly a superstar in the Nigerian music industry. Emeka the Stallion.
What's up, bro?
How are you doing?
I'm calm, man. I'm calm.
Thanks a lot for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
You're very welcome. How are you doing? What's going on with you? How's life been with you? We see you very busy on social media, very noisy, I have to say. How's the lockdown treated you on your music and your just life generally?
I think lockdown kind of brought out the style, the creative genius inside me. Just being at home, not doing anything, just made me realize how much power social media has and how talented I am at creating and dominating social media. So,
well, we'll come back to that. But how did this music thing become a thing for you? I remember seeing a video of you going back to the home where you grew up and where you live now, and it was a great video to just see that your growth, was quite inspiring. At what point in your life did you realize, okay, music is probably going to be it? Was it always there? Did it happen along the way?
Man, it happened along the way. It was just a challenge. It wasn't natural the way a lot of people say their stories. My cousin heard a 14-year-old on radio. His name was Lil H. And because I used to yab Nigerian rappers at that time, that Nigerian rappers don't know how to rap. So,
how old were you then?
Yeah, I was maybe 14 or something. So she was like, look at this 14-year-old boy is doing this. What can you do? All you do is insult Nigerian rappers. And I was like, this thing is not that hard. I'll go upstairs and I'll rap now. And I went upstairs, wrote my first rap, and I came down, and it was so much fun to rap it. So I just kept
up until
on
then,
doing
you had no passion for music. You had never rapped before.
At all. I never if you told me a day before that I would become a rapper.
It's such a funny story. Really?
Yeah.
So you did that, and then
I enjoyed it, so I just kept on writing and writing and writing. And before I knew it, I was thinking about going to the studio to put down some of my raps. And, my first song won me one competition that Terry Rapman hosted. Mode 9 was one of the judges. And these are OGs in hip-hop.
But you said they could not rap.
No, as at that time, I was way before I was criticizing Nigerian rap a lot. But I still knew that, okay, there were one or two guys that were fire, right? So the fact that those guys thought I was fire too made me feel okay, I can actually pursue this thing. It's different when your family says maybe your cousin says you're fire or your friend. Those ones are probably just telling you because they don't want to break your heart, you feel me? So, that was where I had.
So how did Chocolate City happen?
So AQ had been telling MI about me for the longest because, that I'm the guy, I'm the next guy in the hip-hop thing, right? So one day I met MI, funny enough, at a Vector event,
You were already kind of in industry at this time, or you were trying to still get
I
in?
was, Vector kind of was supporting me,
Okay.
I was, I think, second or third in his King Kong competition.
Okay.
And then it was the Hennessy VS class thing, that one I won, right? So I had those links to Vector, right? So I was always going around trying to just connect with people through him. And then I met MI there, and MI was like, bro, you are fire, I'm a big fan. Let's link at the office. Let's talk about a deal. That's how it happened.
Nice. So you have a very interesting strategy. Like I was talking about social media and how you sort of promote yourself and promote your music. So now you're the best. Everybody else looks at me. Once in a while you put out videos just to... And people get confused sometimes. Is this just bands? And sometimes it comes across like you're being serious about how you feel about yourself and other artists. What informs, that strategy?
For
you?
me, it's just me being my crazy self. Like if you knew me personally, I say a lot of outlandish stuff. You feel me? So it's like I now decided to still say it on like a larger scale. You feel me? Like a lot of my madness that's hidden, now everybody can see it in the open. So when I say those things, it's literally what I would say in the back. You feel me? So it's not like everybody knows that there's no malice in whenever I say stuff. You know, like everybody.
Yeah, but you
know,
can brag without malice.
yeah, do you get so like even yesterday I made a video talking to Bona, about my album, and because everybody already knows my energy, everybody found it interesting, and Bona even posted my album. You get so like the energy that I radiate is happy energy. So even when I'm saying something, everybody knows it's cruise. It's not like I hate anybody or I'm trying to fight anybody. So.
But you think you're the best rapper in Nigeria?
Right now, I am. I think it's like back then it was a thing of me saying it, but right now, judging by how my album is doing right now, I don't think there's any rapper right now that's dominating the charts like that. It's crazy.
Better than Vector and MI?
Vector and MI, they are OGs. They are like they've taken over the game in the past. You feel me? But now is my time. You feel me? I'm the guy right now.
Are you the best artist in Nigeria right now?
I won't say best artist.
Why not?
There's a lot of artists, like that pool is very like wide, I can talk in the rap side because, I think based on like what I see right now, I'm dominating that. But like in the artist front, there's Wiz, there's Burna, there's David, all these guys, there's Chike, there's like Simi. Like if we start mentioning names, we'll sleep here.
Okay, let's talk about your generation.
Yeah,
well,
even my generation, there's Omale, there's Rema, there's Joe Boy.
Are you saying they're better than you? That's what I want to know.
To be honest, personally, like Rema, I'm such a fan of Rema that I put him ahead of me every time. Like, whenever I hear Rema, it's like, this guy is just on an unbelievable level with the music. So, yeah Rema.
Fair enough. So what do you think of the industry, though, the Nigerian music industry? Because like you said, you got into it sort of almost believing that they were not doing that well. Now you're in it. You understand how tough it is to break in and stay relevant.
Stay relevant.
And, get people to listen to your music. What do you think of the industry, where we are now and where we're going?
I think we're in the best time. This is the best time the music industry has ever been because now the world can see like genuine talent. Like there's no... nobody's forcing anybody to make a certain kind of music anymore. Back in the day, they'll tell you, oh, this is the sound now. Everybody has to start making this particular sound. And remember when it was pom-pom and everybody was like, pom-pom down in the rain, go and make this. When it's Kelewu or when it's Shoki, that's the only thing that's popping in that moment. But now, even Amapiano came and was going crazy, but it didn't stop other songs to still be popping at the same time. So I think that already makes us look like it makes it like there's so much talent that can come out at any time, that's different. So I think that's the best place we've been, you know. We can export our music and, people abroad will not feel like we're just people with that do only one thing. Yeah.
Do you think there's still a place for rap, though? Because Afro beats seems to be the one that seems to be, flying out of the country. The international market is, loving it. Even the Nigerian market loves Afrobeats. Rap in Nigeria, people have said, is dying because it doesn't make as much money. One, do you see a future for rap? Do you think it's sustainable for you to make enough money from?
So right now, everything is a gradual process, I feel like right now, R&B in Nigeria is growing, right? Same way, like right now, me and Superboy Check, right? Both of us have hip-hop songs in the top 10 charts right now. That's, even though it's just 2 hip-hop songs out of 10, that's a start, you feel me? We didn't have that before, now we have 2. Maybe somebody else drops, and we have 3. I don't think Lekon has a song in the top 10, so that's 3, you feel me? It's a gradual process. We can't wake up and do it in one day. But now, with us being in top 10, I'm inspiring somebody else to feel like, oh, I can rap, I can make a hip-hop song and get in the top 10. You feel me? So I think there's like bright future for hip-hop. Whatever we're seeing now is just like pointers and, signs that,
I was reading up on you and I saw a story. I remember seeing those tweets a couple of years ago. and that you put out with regards to your dad.
Yeah.
And how things are with you. I think, he was saying he wasn't there for you growing up and all of that, and he was trying to reach out. And you weren't particularly excited about, the way he approached you. How are things with you now?
We settled.
Okay.
Like when I made that post, it went viral so much that like I feel like it sent shockwaves around the whole family and everybody. So we had to call, he apologized, tried to explain the reasons why he wasn't there at the time. These are things that all my life I never heard. You feel me? It was just, all I knew was, where is my dad? I wasn't seeing him. You feel me? So it was just kind of like weird situation, him coming to me and, demanding for something at that time. I felt like you are not in a position to demand anything from me right now, right? So we kind of patched things up, and now we are cool. We're talking regularly.
So do you regret doing that, or do you think it was necessary because it led to this?
If that didn't happen, we won't be where we are right now. So I think that was necessary.
Yeah. Were you always funny though? Did that
become funny one day?
Did that just? So it was always there, and you just sort of
there.
refused? Because honestly, the way you promote your music is really hilarious, and you have to sort of pay attention. So you've always been a funny guy.
Yeah, I've always been a funny guy. I've always been like, so. Back then, I'm not the finest guy. I don't get beers like you. I know rip like you. You feel me? But people always liked me because it was fun to be around me. Yeah. I make you laugh and do all these things. So that has always been my gift. That has always been what had brought people around me.
Yeah. Let's talk about BBC.
Yeah.
And I know you have a tattoo of it. So what inspired that?
I don't know if I can say that on air.
I don't think you can.
But it's just.
Are you proud of the record?
Yeah, amazing. Having Tiwa Savage jumping on it too was just crazy. That started my year out. It made people feel like, okay, this year this boy is not playing.
Ready.
He's ready to
Are we getting a video?
Yeah, we're working on it. She took some time off, so we don't want to pressure her. When she's fully ready, we'll shoot and we'll.
Congratulations on the new album.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Just dropped. Tell us about it and why people must listen to it.
So my album is titled Sex Over Love, and it's me just preaching against what society considers the norm.
Basically being a rebel.
Yeah, I'm basically being a rebel, and I feel like there are people out there that will relate to what I'm saying. You feel me? I feel like love these days comes with too much pressure.
Love
too
is
much.
A good thing.
Yeah, it's a good thing, but I feel like it should be undiluted. I should be able to love you, my friends, my family, everybody, equally. I should be able to be there for everybody at the same time. But relationships are once you enter, somebody says, I'm now your priority, automatically.
Everybody
so,
else
do you understand? Your family is second. Everybody is second to you. And I'm like, where did you come from? You feel me? You were not there all this while. All of a sudden, you are my priority. And also, I feel like it also comes with that sense of entitlement. Somebody you're in a relationship with feels like, oh, now it's exclusivity, right? Even if you are not cheating or doing some other stuff, right? Maybe if you are calling somebody else too much, it becomes a problem. People that were there before, so I feel like the whole concept of the way the society portrays love, I don't like it. It's not something that I can do, and I can't give it to somebody else.
So it's safe to say you're not in a relationship?
No. If you come into my life right now, you cannot outrank the people that are already there. Wow. That's facts.
Do you think that mindset is going to change?
Nope.
You think it's always going to be that way?
Yeah. Because,
so relationships and marriage is not going to be for you?
No, I can get married, but it will be first, everybody has to know that I cannot be exclusive. Monogamy for me is unrealistic. Yeah. I cannot be exclusive.
So even if you're married, you'll be a polygamous man?
Yes, I'll be a polygamous man. And the truth is, I don't lie about it. I'm not going to pretend to a girl and say, you are the only one I care for. No. I will tell you right off the bat. Thank God my album is Sex Over Love. It's clear. Everybody now knows this is this guy's message. So if any female is anywhere in my life, you already know how I roll.
So how many women do you plan on marrying?
Solomon levels.
Have you met anybody who is interested in your polygamous?
Funny enough, no, not yet. So every time I tell them, they try to fix me. They think it's
They think it's a phase.
Yeah, they think it's a phase.
And you're sure it's not a phase?
See, one thing I know, I can tell you beyond a shadow of doubt, no matter what, I will cheat. If I try to be, I will cheat. Like that's,
So let's not just go there.
every guy I know is cheating. Every guy. Like, so I feel like trying to say you can be loyal, like I feel like monogamy was introduced like back in the day, you know, you only had like maybe 10 hot babes you see in your whole life. Now you see 100 on IG.
So you can't cope.
I can't cope.
This conversation has completely gone left. Please. Blackbone's Sex Over Love is out. Please go stream the album. Congratulations on that.
Thank you, bro.
And thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, bro.
We'll take a break now and be right back. Please don't go away. Welcome back. Now we're going to be talking something very interesting, cultural intelligence and its impact on brands. And Ifedaya Dede is here with me. How are you doing?
Fine, thanks for having me.
Cultural intelligence. For those of us that are trying to understand.
Okay, so it's mostly, let me start with culture. So usually we accept culture as sort of like a definition of people's perspective, their attitudes and how they live and their lifestyle, things like that. But it has sort of expanded into how we understand problems and how we can solve them. So for instance, like you already discussed before, so we're talking about, for example, the Zoomers, those referred to as the Gen Z.
Gen Z, yeah.
So now we know we're talking about digital age. But then we also need to go way more in-depth to understand, okay, so when we're talking about the Gen Zs, how would you compare a Gen Z in Lagos to a Gen Z in Ondo State, to a Gen Z in Kwara and all those places? So that's basically trying to understand the culture.
Yeah.
Then the intelligence refers to the data itself. So how would you use that data you've collected to understand the culture and use that to apply solutions to the problems you already identified?
That's very interesting because we always say that, you know, Nigeria is almost sort of data empty. Yeah. Yeah. Nobody seems to care sometimes. Those who care can't find anything.
Yes.
So how is this working and how important is it, you know, for brands, for governments, for just, you know, the way the world is shaping now?
Okay, so with what we realized last year with the pandemic, so we already know like a lot of things has changed. We say, okay, everything has sort of moved online, either with booking, work, operations, how people shop now, a lot of things has changed. So for brands, you're looking at how do I market better to people I'm trying to talk to? What are the products that are looking to buy from me? And now what are the places to reach them? It's the way we refer to like a drive time in Lagos. So we already identified, okay, if I want to talk on radio to people, we know morning or late in the evening is the best time you want to talk to them because that's the time they're available to sit and listen to you. But then, how would you compare that sort of data to those in a different state? Does drive time matter to them? Or is it better to talk to them in the afternoon? That's for brands. So for government, you're also looking at how we've been talking initially, talking about unemployment in Nigeria. Yeah. Now, we've talked about how everything is digital now. So you're looking about, talking about digital skills in a place like Lagos. But then you see a lot of more rural areas talking about just simple Microsoft skills, just CorelDRAW, how to use the MS Word document. But then you're also trying to identify the markets that are available for them to do things like that. So that's just a simple thing. But over here, you're talking about high cloud engineering, you're talking about social media marketing, you're even talking about content creation. And the funny thing you see is the way we have grown so interested in content creation in many urban cities, some places they don't have access to that sort of thing. You don't have the data for it. You don't have the phone for it. So how do you use that opportunity to create jobs? Because yes, these are the same sort of people, secondary school students, who go to other schools to perform drama, to do storytelling and any other thing they can use to make money. Yeah. So how do you transition that sort of skill into creating jobs for them in other avenues? Yeah.
I think we'll be joined by Franklin Ozekome, online, who's the head of group strategy at Insight. Franklin, if you can hear me, I want to talk, brands now. And, from those looking from the outside, Nigeria seems like this homogeneous unit. It's a black nation. But we here know how diverse and crazy it is. The North is different from the South. The East is different from the West. Even within the West, Lagos is different from Ekiti, So how are you able to sort of work around, this with regards to sort of working with brands? And how hard is it to gather this data and how important is it?
Thanks, Obuka. I hope you can hear me clearly.
Go on.
Great. Yes, I think the best way to do that, we've done a lot of work like that for clients when they try to identify the different behaviors, especially in the North and South for across industry segments. The key way to do that is usually to look at to develop cultural profiles for them, because data is good on the one hand, but you also need to be able to localize what that data is saying, depending on the context where you see those consumers. For example, even in different parts of the north, between Kaduna and Abuja, for example, there are different behaviors, mindsets, and attitudes. So if you're even talking about the northern consumer, there are various things, there are various initiatives that clients have to do, that have to be customized for those markets. So I think the key way to look at that is, how do you engineer authenticity and simplicity in engagement? So if you're talking to the Southern woman, for example, what are the local nuances, the language, the behavioral connotations that inform, that can be inspire her or move her to behave in a certain way or to purchase a certain product? And those are the ways we look at it from a data mindset. We gather those data, but the key thing is, how do you localize it? How do you contextualize it? What does it mean for a particular brand in a particular category? Let's say you're talking for a soft drink brand in CSD, and you're looking at a mobile and telecoms brand. There are two different mindsets, even they are trying to talk to the same consumer. So cultural profiles is the best way to look at attitudes, mindsets, and the thing that is driving them to behave in a certain way and particularly purchase their products and services.
Did the pandemic sort of affect, how brands are viewing sort of this cultural intelligence? And in what way did it?
Very much so. Very much so. We're like 5 months now into the new year. Brands are still reacting to what has happened last year. Again, that's where research comes in. Research always comes from a perspective of hindsight, which is what has happened. What cultural intelligence does for you, it tells you what will happen. And brands need to be able to straddle that center where I have research, I understand what has happened the past 7 days, the past 2 hours, a few minutes ago, but in understanding trends and how it's evolving, I can understand and feel the pulse of what I need to do. So I'm more proactive rather than reactive. And that's where we're talking to clients now. So we try to be more proactive in understanding the pulse, the attitudes, the mindsets, the culture of these various target audiences taken at the north, the south, the east, and then trying to say, what can we do particularly for these people across regions? So what it means is campaigns cannot be one standard anymore. I cannot do the same campaign and carry it across and put it pan-Nigeria. What I have to do is, as long as it's had a certain meaning, can I customize it for the Lagos guy? And even in Lagos, we're talking Victoria Island, Lekki, Surulere. These are still different mindsets there. So we're now doing what we call customized behaviors and profiles. And that's the lesson for us going forward. We can't do a one-size-fits-all approach and solutioning.
Well, thank you very much, Franklin Zakome. Let me just round it up very, very quickly with you, if I have 30 seconds, if you can. Is it possible to run a brand without, proper cultural intelligence? We see a lot of these brands internationally coming to Nigeria. Along the way, they start selling moi moi and jollof rice, things that never happen in their other brands internationally. Is it possible to be successful as a brand without cultural intelligence?
No, it is not.
Yeah.
So let me just give an instance. So we had there was a meeting I was invited to, and a lady said she was looking to market in Ekiti State to sell new drugs in Ekiti State. And the strategy there just said, okay, we need to go fully on digital. That is definitely going to fail. Because if you're looking to target just people between 20 and 50 in Ekiti State and you're going strictly digital, it is not going to work. That is what you would have had with cultural intelligence. Yeah. So that's basically the benefit. You cannot do well without it. Thank you very much for joining us today, and thank you, my God, Franklin. It's a conversation I think we'll probably have to come back to and talk about much later, but thanks for joining us. Well, like I always say, you can follow the conversation on Twitter. Rubbin Minds now is the handle. Please use the hashtag Rubbin Minds when you tweet at us. Do have a great week, and I'll see you next Sunday.